So I have spent the last 5 days trying to figure out how I'm going to make this video and if I'm going to make it a Mindset Minute podcast or just a YouTube video. And I decided on Mindset Minutes. So we're just going to roll with it. I have no idea the structure. You're basically just going to hear the raw version. So yeah, welcome back. I look a little different this time. Probably a lot different. Yeah, had a wreck over the weekend. We were racing, and it was very unfortunate. It was the first race on a 450, and I've wanted to do that for a very long time. I've spent the last 4 months training on a 450 to just be able to race it, and I've gotten so much faster, so much better, and we go out and race it, and it was last lap, white flag, and here we are. So I'll throw in the video. You guys can watch it. You can kind of look at everything that happened. I'm not going to get too far off in the weeds why it happened or how it happened, but pretty much lap traffic, and I let out on the clutch. Clutch hooked the tire up, tried to get it to pitch me down. Instead, it shot me up and hit the top of the landing and thought I could ride it out, and I could. And as I was riding it out, it ripped my shoulder out of place. So then I let go of the bike, and you'll see that in the video. And yeah, it was not the most fun. It still isn't. But there's a reason. There was a lot of things that was not working in our favor with the bike that I was supposed to ride. And yeah, actually, it wasn't even my bike that I wrecked. It was a bike that was lent to me, and I wrecked it. And it was, yeah, not the most fun. Very fast bike. We were doing great. We were rolling so good, just very smooth and consistent considering the track conditions. It was very muddy. I'm glad I wasn't running GoPro because I was not very happy after that wreck for a lot of reasons. But yeah, ripped my shoulder out of place and not where we want to be. That's for sure. But I think that, collecting my thoughts in the last 5 days since it's happened, I think it was needed. I think it wasn't needed for me to wreck and get hurt, but the stop dead in your tracks was needed. That's the only real way to get me to stop. No matter what, I'm going to find a way to keep pushing and keep going. And I think that's an issue. I think I'm being faced with that right now, that sometimes I just need to stop and take a break. And I don't realize how hard I'm actually working when I'm in it, because it's just the same motions of life, and that's just how my life has become. And there's nothing or nobody to blame, but that's just how my life is, and I was okay with that. But I never realized actually how hard I was going at it. And sometimes you just need to stop. Sometimes you just need to stop, regroup, and be like, hey, it's okay to sit here for a while. And I'm grateful that I was able to walk away from it. I think that's the biggest thing to take away, is that a lot of people can't or are not able to walk away from a wreck. And I'm sorry. Excuse me. A lot of people are not able. And I am just grateful that... Sorry, make sure my hat on's on straight. I think it is. All right, we're going to roll with it. Anyways. Is my hat on straight? Cool. That's on straight. Okay. But yeah, not a lot of people get to walk away from a wreck like that. And I was lucky to walk away how I did. And I'm honestly, as I go through it, I am grateful to feel this discomfort, this pain, this hurt, this defeat, because, sure, it sucks, but to be able to feel this is a blessing in and of itself. And I think it's easy to walk or look over that when an injury arises and people don't see that. But it's truly a blessing to feel what I'm feeling right now. And I think the more other people that are dealing with similar circumstances and feelings and injuries, the sooner they can understand that like, yeah, this sucks and this is not fun, but this is a blessing to be here and feel this. And that's the kind of the motto for this episode, is just feel it in all of its entirety, even though it sucks, even though it hurts. My shoulder is sitting here hurting right now. And if you followed me for a while, you know, this is round 3 of the dislocated shoulder. And not to even get down the road of recovery and the road of the last year that I've spent building and strengthening my shoulder back just so this doesn't happen again. And no matter how hard I tried, it happened again. And it sucks. It really does. It sucks to be just, it felt like all of my work was written on like a canvas, and somebody just punched right through it and ripped it up and lit it on fire. And now we're like back to zero as far as shoulder. And I just still don't know what to think. My thoughts are not 100% gathered on it. But I know if I made a video Monday instead of today, which is Friday, it would have been a whole lot different. I would have been very angry and just overall frustrated. But I know that doesn't get me anywhere, but I know that's a part of the emotion feeling when things like this arise. You can't shut it out. You can't say, oh, this is just, it is what it is. Like, you have to feel it in its entirety, because if you don't, it's going to come back. The feelings are going to come back. And I've talked about this before in past episodes, episode 3, I think. And that feeling is going to come back. Like my little pocket here, it holds my phone. It's kind of nice. It's one of the benefits about a sling. So all of that happened. The bike is okay. The owner is not mad at all. But after all of that happened, I stayed at the track for the rest of the day. Obviously, I was able to get it back in place. It popped out of place, was kind of hanging out in front of my body here, and I was able to kind of just shove it back into place, and it was fine. Monday, we go to ortho. I get checked out, and ironically enough, the same ankle injury I've been dealing with, which it wasn't bad racing on, actually, because I was in my moto boots, so it was kind of very secure. But I did get cleared to race, and then as soon as I was on, sorry, just woke up a little bit ago. As soon as I got cleared to race, just to race, and then once the race was over, I put the boot back on. But it felt good to race on. But got x-rays on my ankle again, and it was actually the same doctor. So the same doctor that helped me with my ankle, that is taking care of my ankle, is the same doctor that's taking care of my shoulder. So I walk in, and I actually had a follow-up that would have been yesterday, which would have been Thursday. And I walk in on Monday, and dude's like, bro, I told you to take the boot off and then put the boot back on after you're done racing. I'm like, yeah, dude, this is completely unrelated. And told him the whole lowdown. We got x-rays on it. And pretty much as far as x-rays look, so this is kind of be helpful for you guys. As far as x-rays look for the shoulder, we got 2 different things. For the shoulder, it has a little minor, just tiny chip out of the socket. And he's not sure if that's recent or older. He says it looks older because if something is an older injury or older trauma, it will pop up a little more hazy on an x-ray. It won't be as like prominent, like as like sharp. It'll be a little more blurry, but you can still see it on the x-ray. And he's like, I'm not 100% worried about it, but what I am worried about is everything that could be tore. Your labrum being tore, with this being the 3rd time. He said your labrum is very prominent to tear, and everything just becomes a lot looser right now. And I'm like, that's just what I want to hear. And I knew that was going to happen if it ever happened again, but I was really thinking it would have never happened again. I mean, I wear a brace when I race. Like, that's how serious I take it to make sure it doesn't happen again. And he was like, but you're going to be in a sling for the next 4 weeks. Make sure for the first 2, you keep it basically glued to your front side. And then after that, you can kind of just rock the sling. Right now, I'm just rocking the sling, but here in a second, it's going to get ace bandage wrapped so it can't move out. Sorry, I just won't demonstrate that. That's not very pleasant. It can't move out. And so it's just trying to get it to heal as much as possible. But I think as far as the shoulder goes, I got to wait 23 more days to see what's actually up with all the labrum and everything in there, because your labrum is like what stabilizes your shoulder. It's kind of like right next to your clavicle, and the clavicle is a bone, labrum's obviously a tendon, or a muscle, or whatever you want to call it. You know the whole deal. It's all the same thing. But basically they'll go back in. Hopefully this doesn't have to happen. I really don't want it to happen, but in order to prevent it from happening next time, I asked him, I was like, okay, so if this does happen again later on down the road, what's the steps? And he's like, well, we'll go back in and we'll pretty much just go do surgery and basically bring that labrum down so it cradles your shoulder more, but your range of motion will be limited. So I'll only be able to get my shoulder to there probably, and instead of all the way up here. So that would suck, but that would prevent it from happening next time and sidelining me for as long as I am. So there's trade-offs, and it's like, what are you willing to do? But if it's only prone to dislocating even more the next time, because if it does it the next time, it'll be the 4th time, and my goodness, it's already painful enough each time. So, excuse me. It's like, what's the trade-offs? What are you willing to do to make sure this doesn't happen again? And oh man, my nose itches. So there's some thoughts about that. Not really sure what to do yet, but I did. No matter what, I'm not swinging a leg back over a bike until I can make sure that my shoulder doesn't come out of socket again, because I can't have this sidelining again. Like, it is so hard on me. It's probably the lowest I've ever been, and that's hard for me to say because I'm naturally a tough guy, and I try to just really, and obviously I still am. I'm focusing on the positives, focusing on what good there is to take away from it. But good grief, I can't have that. I can't have this again. So I'm going to, if it does mean a year or 2 years in recovery and physical therapy before I ever swing a leg back over a bike, then I'm willing to give that time up to make sure that I am good to go before I do that. So definitely a big curveball in my life right now. And I think that's something I want to kind of drive home to you guys, is that if you get dealt with a rough deck of cards and you just want to ask, why am I dealt this deck of cards? It's not going to get you anywhere. You have to understand how you can adapt and what you can control right now. And that's hard to do because things can be painful. Things can, the defeat, the loss, whatever it is, can suck. And it's really hard. But you have to understand that each day is just another stepping stone building back. And like I said over and over again, it sucks. But as far as ankle goes, and we x-rayed it, and he said, well, 15% of the world's population is born with an extra bone in their ankle. And he said, this could be you, or this could be a chipped bone that's just kind of floating around in there. But basically, I have a bone that's floating around in my ankle, whether it's chipped from a break or whatever. It's floating around in my ankle, and I have to stay in a walking boot for another 2 weeks to make sure it can reattach. So, yeah, which would be 10 days, 10 more days in a walking boot. Ow, 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 ow. Sorry. So, yeah, it's fun. And then it's just like, it's like a domino, like who toppled the first domino, and then, excuse me, sorry, I really apologize for all the yawning. I really wanted to make this video, though. But as far as, you know, just racing, lifting, and fitness, it's going to look very different for me when the time does come to getting back in the gym. It's going to be a lot of cardio, and it is going to be a lot of legs once my ankle gets better. And none of that's going to be any maxing out. None of that's going to be any throwing up some crazy numbers on the bench. None of that's going to be throwing up some crazy numbers on the squat rack. And that's probably going to be like that for a while. Excuse me. And the sooner I can accept that, the better off I'm going to be when the time does arise when, wow, this really sucks. But at least I've already accepted it. At least I'm ready to get started on a new path, you know? And, you know, if you look at it from a spiritual standpoint, God is telling me to just stop for a second and not to force anything, not to keep pushing, just stop. And it's weird. It sucks. I don't like it, but I'm embracing that uncomfortability of my life. What are you doing? Huh? Come here. Kimmy. Remington's up here. But I think in the grand scheme of things, the whole point of this video is just to feel it. Feel the pain, feel the discomfort, feel the unexplored areas of your life, and just feel it in all its entirety. Because at the end of the day, it is a blessing. At the end of the day, it is a blessing, and there's a whole lot of positives to take away, no matter what it is. And I talked about it with my mom. I'm like, you know, no matter the circumstances, there was a lot of positives to take away. And no matter what happened, there will always be positives to take away. Excuse me. You think I'm tired or something, but I sleep in a recliner, by the way, so I don't get to sleep in my bed for a long time. That is terrifying. I could not imagine rolling over on my right shoulder and just pop. But it's fun. It's a different way of life right now, and I'm excited to see where it takes me. Going to be a lot of desk work, a lot of YouTube videos, I'm actually learning how to code with AI integrated. It's big, what's nerd thing. Anyways, yeah, it's very different. Playing games when I can and just enjoying this time, because that's really all I can do. Rest. The good thing is I can fly my drone. I love flying my drone. And yeah, I was supposed to vlog this weekend, and the morning got so busy. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to make an intro after Moto 1, get everything going. And, well, 4 laps into the first race of the day, just ate it. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you can take away something from this, and I hope you can understand that there's always something positive to take away no matter your circumstances. There's always, make sure your feelings are so intact that you understand the feeling you're feeling and you can feel it in its entirety, if that makes sense. Feel it. Feel the pain, feel the hurt, whatever it is, because it is a blessing. So I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the long-time viewers that have stayed here forever. I'll go back and watch some of my old videos and just look and think about how far I've come just in the social media and content world. And I'm just very grateful. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys took something away from this. Sorry I was a little behind on posting this. Been a rough week. So, yeah. Have a good one, guys. See ya.